Hi, this is Seth from Iowa State, and I'll be showing you my project I've been working with on Arduino and Simulink, just experimenting around. Right now I have two different things going on. I have these two LEDs, these green ones, that I can switch between that will fade in and out using this SPDT switch. Then I have this blue LED right here that I can turn on and off using this tactile switch, and it will pulse. As you can see, I can have both these on at the same time. The way I hooked this up was the SPDT switch. The middle pin is going to, this green wire here, is going to pin 10 on the Arduino. This yellow wire right here, which is on the left end of the SPDT switch, goes to this left green LED, so it controls that one. This red wire right here goes to the other green LED, so I can control that one. And both of those are hooked up to ground. Then I have on the other switch, this black wire goes to pin number 11 on the Arduino. I can turn this one on as my fingers push down. Okay, now let's take a look at the guts of this Simulink system that I made. It's called a Simulink model, I believe, and it kind of flows from left to right, so you can visually see what's going on. To start us off, what I did was to make this program a little more interesting and to show how MATLAB functions can integrate into Simulink. I made a function in which you can select to either have the fade on the green LEDs turned on, the pulse on the blue LED turned on, or both at the same time turned on. And the way that I did this was, first I started off with a constant. It's called a constant block that you can find in the Simulink library, or Simulink library. And this constant, the constant value, is in a MATLAB function, one that everybody knows, called input, and the input prints to the console this right here, either 1 for fade, 2 for pulse, 3 for both, and so it'll wait for that input from the user, and this is what it will look like. As you can see, I've entered this a ton of times, so I just enter a number. The one you saw earlier would be the 3 option, which I had both the blue LED and the green LEDs on. Okay, so now what that will do is that either 1, 2, or 3 will be passed as the parameter into this MATLAB function right here. And this is also, all these are blocks that you find in the Simulink library. And MATLAB function is one of those common blocks. Let me zoom in a little bit better so you can see. Okay, so here's our MATLAB function. Let me double click on that, show you what it looks like. Okay, so our function here takes in the selection parameter. It has 2 outputs, fade and pulse. As you can see from this MATLAB function, right here's your input, selection, and here's your 2 outputs, fade and pulse. Now, if the selection is 1, the user entered 1, then fade will be 1, which is on, and pulse is 0, which is off. If it's 2, the selection fades off and pulse is on, and anything else, like I said earlier, a 3 for example, both fade and pulse will be on. So then we have 2 if blocks here. If block right here and if block right here. And I guess if you were to think of this in terms of programming, it'd be like just two if statements back to back. And so this first one here, this block, this is like a condition statement. It doesn't include the actual body of the if block, it's just a condition. And what it checks is this U1, that'd be the input of this if block. If it's 1, meaning on, this right here, this if action subsystem will run. And this if action subsystem, it sounds complicated, but it's really not. It's just like the body of your if block. So this is the condition statement, this is the body. So let's take a look at the body of this. This is the body of our fading LED, the green one that fades in and out. The way that's done is using a sine wave. So let me double click on this sine wave right here. Let me show you again this sine wave. That's also a block in the Simulink library. I double click on that, and here's my settings for my sine wave. I've shifted it up a little bit so it's on longer than the LED's off. Here's our amplitude. Here's our frequency in radians per second. It's pi over 2, so one period should last 4 seconds, I believe. And our sample time is, it samples 1,000 times per second, so that gives us a nice smooth curve. If you put a really low sample time like 1 or 2, it'll be really choppy and the LED won't really look like it's fading. So high sample time right here. If we take a look at the sine wave on our scope, here's what it looks like. Here's what got generated. And this is going to pin 10 on the Arduino. I believe I said earlier that was the middle, pin 10 was going to the middle pin of our SPDT switch. And see here, you can set your pin. So like I said, this is the body of this if statement, this condition, if this condition's returned true or returns true. Now let's take a look at the other one. The if condition's the exact same thing as the other one. If it's set to 1, pulse. If pulse is set to 1, then the condition's true. Right here you can see that. And the other body also will execute if that's true. And let's take a look at this body. This is the body of the blue LED that's flashing. And the way I did that was have a pulse generator right here. Same amplitude as the sine wave. Period is 1 second. And the pulse width is 50% of that period. So it's on for half a second, off for half a second. Keeps cycling doing that. If we take a look on our scope here, at it, here we go. As you can see, on half a second, off half a second. Keeps on doing that. And that goes to pin 11 on the Arduino, which is connected to that tactile switch. Now the way I use this this model, this Simulink model with the Arduino is, first I can hit this run button, but that won't actually upload anything to the Arduino. That'll just see if everything compiles. See, it's asking me for input once I hit run. I'm going to say 3. And yeah, that would be both the LEDs on. Let me run it one more time and show you. Well, let me show you this real quick. As you can see, my sine waves right there, and my pulse is right there. Now, if I run this again, and let's say I select, I don't know, 2, that would be just the pulse. Okay. Now, let's take a look at this, our sine wave. as you can see, the sine wave isn't there now. That's because this block wasn't executed because only the fade, or only the pulse was executed. But if I go over to my pulse and take a look at that, there it is. Let me show you, let me do that one more time, only this time I'll do it with the sine function on. So I hit 1 for fade, so that'll just be the sine wave. Take a look. There it is. Let's go over to the pulse. Not there. Alright, now let me show you how you actually upload this to the Arduino. This would be like uploading a sketch if you're using the Arduino IDE. So what I do is go up here. See this? It looks like, I don't know, some sort of port or something. Anyways, I click right here. It's called Deploy to Hardware. I hit Deploy to Hardware. Boom. Now, what it's going to do is just like if I run, it's going to ask me what kind of input it needs. I'm going to say both, so I'm going to hit 3. And that'll be like what you saw in the video of the Arduino. Boom, hit 3. I go back over here. Down this little loading bar, you can see that's uploading to the Arduino. This takes a second, especially if it's your first time uploading to it. Okay, and there we go, it's uploaded. And now I could, if I wanted to, I could unhook this USB cable going into the Arduino and hook it up to an external power supply like my battery pack, and it will run just the same. The LEDs will fade in and out. If I push the tactile switch, the blue LED will push. I just wanted to say one thing about the switches. There really wasn't a purpose in using them with Simulink. I just really want to experiment with them for my own purpose, to try to learn more about how to hook them up on my breadboard. But I mean, you could use this exact same Simulink example without the switches, so they really aren't needed. It was just for my own experimentation. So I thank you for watching this.